Hey, ghoul friends, it's me, Adrian, or Ayden. Either way, I am your host, and you are listening to Susto, the podcast of spooky, scary stories. Welcome back. Thank you for being here, and if this is your first time, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Go ahead and grab a crucifix. They're right by the door on your way in. Have a seat and buckle up. Ghoul friends, you are in for a special treat today. As you may have seen from the title already, this episode is an interview with the amazing hosts, Bethany and Leah of the Paranormal Putas. I was so lucky to be on a panel with them at the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival, and I got to hang out with them at the San Antonio Paranormal Festival. And this Friday, so tomorrow, if you're listening to this on Thursday, Friday the 13th, we are going to be at the Mary J Social Club along with other amazing creators and vendors. So if you're in Austin, go ahead and check that out. The posts are on all of our social media pages, so you can get your tickets to that. Again, it's Friday the 13th in the evening, so we will see you there. We're very excited about that. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, we have a lot more fun stuff planned for the future. So make sure that you're subscribed to their show. Follow along on Susto's socials. That's at Susto Podcast on every platform. And you can also catch me on their show tomorrow, Friday. Listen to this today, listen to theirs tomorrow. It's a ghoulish time. I won't take too much more of your time. All I'll say is just follow along on the socials and on the website, sustopodcast.com, for any and all updates on the show. If you have your own scary story that you would like me to share on a Letters from the Beyond episode or on social media, you can do so by sending it in an email to sustopodcast@gmail.com, sending it in a DM on any of the socials, or leaving it in a 5-star review if you are able to do that wherever you are listening. And of course, also by visiting sustopodcast.com and hitting the contact button. And if you are a best ghoul friend on patreon.com/sustopodcast, then you will have access to the panel that we all sat on at the True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival. That was a really fun time. So again, if you're a best ghoul friend on Patreon, you have access to that video, and that'll be the piece of video content for this episode. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this amazing, super fun time with Bethany and Leah of the Paranormal Putas. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome. Hi, hello, how are you? Hey, ghoul friends.
Hey, how are you? Hey.
Well, right away, why don't you tell the people? I'm not going to do it justice introducing you all, so why don't you introduce yourselves to the people of Susto?
Oh, okay. So formally and officially, hey everybody, my name's Leah.
And I'm Bethany.
And we're the Paranormal Putas.
I'm looking at Jeff because he hates that sound.
Oh.
But I love it, so.
He's like, get the fuck out of my house.
Right. Well, what a treat to have you all here today. I'm so excited. And just a heads up for anybody listening, you can catch me on the Paranormal Putas on their episode tomorrow. We talk about duendes.
Woo.
And initially when they asked me to be an expert on duendes, I thought it was a short joke. Still not sure it wasn't, but...
It seems like you knew a lot about him.
No, no, that was so much fun to record. I'm excited for that to go out and for people to give it a listen.
Yes.
We're going to do things a little bit more informal on Susto today because typically... one of the things that I've heard people say about Susto before is that they're like, it's like it's more ethereal and like it's a little bit more academic, and I'm like, just call me nerdy.
But it's a good thing.
It's
a great
so
thing.
Good, yeah.
So anytime I have the chance to have guests on the show, it's always fun because I am like to hell with all of like
the structure
and the standards. I'm like, let's just kind of like have a conversation and talk it out.
Cool.
So
perfect.
Can you all give the people a rundown on your show and what it's about? And honestly, anyone who's listening to Susto who hasn't listened to your show before, I'm shaking my finger at you and all that because I've mentioned you all countless times on the episode, on the show already. So, but for those who are not in on the know yet, why don't you give them a rundown?
Yeah, totally. So, well, first off, me and Bethany are sisters, born and raised in Austin, Texas. And we really started our show really kind of as a love letter to old East Side. So we were just really interested in collecting some stories, and really Bethany kind of explains this part a little bit better than me, but I think really that's what it rooted from, was us collecting stories from our friends and our family who've always been really into the paranormal, and just growing up In our household, we were constantly told really spooky, fucked up stories. So it just created this curiosity. And as we saw our old neighborhood changing, we were just like, what can we do to kind of preserve some of that? And that's really kind of how it started.
Yeah, and then it kind of picked up and like took a life of its own because I mean, then we just started collecting spooky stories from all over, and we just kind of have fun exploring anything spooky, whether it's like legends, culture, people's personal experiences, but we also are more, I don't know. You mentioned that Susto, can have like a more of like an academic vibe. So Susto is like JSTOR. You're gonna get really good shit. Us, we're like asking Google for
it's like WebMD.
Yeah, we're like the Google party girl at the that's gonna give you some information, and we're just kind of, I don't know. I mean, the information that we all share is the same, and it's we do all our research and everything. But we present it in a different way, and
we keep it at a 4th grade level.
Yeah. We fuck around a lot.
Hence the putas, right? Yeah. But a lot of that also comes with our love for the show Ghost Adventures. We get the opportunity, or we really started a review of that show, and we just get to be crass and talk shit and have a good time. So that's kind of the theme of our show, I guess.
I mean, we're just kind of everywhere. We're a mess.
Yeah, it's true though.
We do have a structure though. Like every week, 1 week you'll get a personal story, the next week it's Ghost Adventures, and it does a back and forth pattern that, which is a lot of fun because it gives us room to breathe and edit those personal stories. Instead of having 1 week, we have 2, and we get to take turns and all of that. So I think it works out well, and it also speaks to all kinds of different audiences. Some people come to us just for Ghost Adventures, some for both, some for just the personal stories. Like, it's just kind of,
Yeah, I love that. I love that variety. And I love that, and I think it's a question that or maybe a topic that we talked about on our True Crime and Paranormal Podcast Festival panel, which was a hit, and it's on y'all's Patreon if anybody wants to check it out, is that we talk about how we cover a lot of the same ground. Obviously our genre it's the same, right? But we bring such different styles and not to mention our own unique perspectives, because although we have a lot in common with as far as our background and the way that we grew up with these stories, how we choose to present them is very different, and that's why I adore you all show and you all, because I need a break from my own rambling sometimes too. So
oh no, the feeling's mutual. I'm like, I need structure in my life. Where's the stuff? But you also give such a great ambiance too, with like the music and the soundtracking, and like, so I feel like your show does it all as well, in the sense of like you get the background, the history, and then you get a fun story, and then you kind of get more casual with the analysis, and like, so
I promise you all this episode is not going to be just us telling each other how much we love each other.
But why not?
It happens sometimes.
We deserve
but I also think it's good to point out how we're different and yet the same, you know, because I mean, if you like, I don't know, we like similar shows, or we are similar shows. And
I do want to ask, so you do you ever when you
That's what I did, Leah.
Got myself. So you already covered, man, those drinks are kicking in. You touched on how you cover Ghost Adventures and your review and your roasting of them, your loving roasting of the show. I would love for you all to address the introduction to your own show, because listening to it, onto the pod is one thing, but when I was there to record with you all, watching it live I felt like I was getting the best, top tier VIP Patreon exclusive Gold Star member experience, watching it play out in real time. I just need to know how that, I mean, obviously it's a take on Ghost Adventures, it's a play on it. How did that what did that brainstorm sound like, though?
Oh my God. I think we really kind of notepad styled it out. We understood their structure and how what we really wanted to play on. And it's the whole understand. So it was we knew that had to be in there, but it was really just kind of going, I don't know, really, just kind of the way we broke it down.
Because it also explains like the structure of our show, right? So it's like, you know, we love Ghost Adventures, but we also explore our own interests in otherworldly phenomena, right?
Yeah. They're doing it again.
And we also just really enjoy doing impressions of Zach, even though they're really bad. But like, it's just a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Because I can remember sending drafts, or like being like, "This is what I think," and then she would tweak it, and then I would tweak it, and then we just kind of decided, you say the first part, I say the second part, and we did our best.
Yeah,
so good. When did I remember watching Ghost Adventures? Probably, I think in high school. I don't remember what year, like when it came out, but when did you all start watching it? Were you early fans?
Oh yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Since before it was a show. It was a documentary.
It
was a documentary, and then it became a show. And we talk about it on the show about like our first time watching it and how it was just like an immediate yes.
I was scared. I actually was really scared with the documentary, and then watching the show, and I was like, I'm not that scared of the show because the show's kind of silly in some ways.
There are moments where they do a little too much silly shit, and that's when I'm like, it's a bad episode. They didn't get any good evidence because they're dicking around too much.
Now with our analyzing, we're able to determine in the first 5 minutes of a Ghost Adventures episode if it's going to suck or not.
That's a skill, honestly. That's like a good party trick. Just put on any episode, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah. I might remember it and be able to break it down for you. But we started out really young, and it became ritual for us. Like we would get together I can't remember what day it came on, but every week there was a new episode. We'd get together and make sure that we watched it together. And it was just kind of a bonding for us. And then we found ourselves doing that a lot during the pandemic because there was really not a lot going on. We were pandemic buddies, and we would just crack jokes, watch Ghost Adventures, and it was like, why don't we just record this, you know, and make it happen? And we had talked about doing like pods or something like that before, but it just kind of, with nothing else to do and the whole world shut down, like it was just kind of the perfect moment for it. So yeah.
I guess Ghost Adventures aside, what are some of y'all's earliest memories regarding the paranormal and ghost stories or spooky, just the kind of general kind of content?
Yeah. I think for me, it was my shadow figures. So Bethany and I growing up in a house in East Austin, I wasn't scared of them, but I can recall very vividly. So I really still believe it to this day that I saw shadow figures in our home, and I remember what we were doing, and I share the full story because, it's up for your interpretation if you want to believe it or not. But we were watching, what I remember, we're in the family living room, and we're watching like Creep Show. I had to have been like 5 or 6 years old. So already I'm seeing weird stuff on the screen, maybe not really fully processing it. And then I look back towards our kitchen, and I see the outline of what I call a shadow family, because it was like the height of a man, and then someone a little bit shorter, and then someone shorter. So it looked like a family just kind of standing there. And I can remember seeing them and then kind of looking back at them, and they were just there, and I felt them looking at me, but I didn't get scared. And I saw them again after the fact, and I saw them a couple times, and I knew where they were coming from the front room of our home, and I would see them go into the closet and things like that. So I was like, okay, that's for sure happening. That's a thing. And so that was my first real, I guess, experience. But it didn't scare me. I didn't feel uneasy. I didn't freak out. And when I told my mom about it, because we always shared with our mom like what was going on in the home or what we had seen. And she made a joke about it. She was like, oh, that's your little alien family because you're a little alien and they're just kind of watching after you. And I was like, what? But I don't know if that was her way just to kind of like disregard it or to make sure like I didn't get scared of what potentially that could have been. So yeah, that was my first or my earliest memory. Shadow people.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Top that. No,
all right. Your turn.
No, Bethany's. Yeah.
You also had, didn't you have an imaginary friend that you barely remember? I always thought that was supernatural.
Yeah, I don't remember her.
She was like a burn victim.
Yeah, but I would say she was burnt. Like she looked burnt. But I don't remember a lot of her, and I couldn't tell you too much. But everybody loves to remind me about the burnt little girl that I would talk about.
Yeah, she had a weird name, like
I don't know.
It was a very Mexican name that like you don't hear often. Like, and that's what, you know, when hearing stories about it, I always thought it was a ghost.
Like, where would I get that name from? Because like nobody in our family has like really strong accident names or anything like that. So I don't know. It's gonna bother me because it's gonna.
Also, there's like different names. You can tell sometimes, like, oh, that's a name from like this time period.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, the different generations. They use different names and stuff.
It's like Pepita something or
I feel like you're close. I really can't.
I think there was a P and an Ita in it, like Lupita, Pepita, shit. But it was long. It was a longer one. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, I always thought
bother me.
I thought that was something supernatural.
Yeah, a lot of people will say that. They'll say that when a kid or a child has an imaginary friend, that they're connecting to something, and then as they grow, that connection weakens, and then they just explain it as, oh, yeah, it was just an imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of like little kid things have happened in that house too. Mm-hmm. Like our oldest sister, her husband's niece, their niece, I guess, you know, saw a little boy in the bathroom once. Mm-hmm. And then our oldest sister has also heard children like laughing, playing, saying things like, shh, she's asleep.
Oh, wow.
And like fucking with the blinds, like running their fingers up and down in and like shit like that. Yeah. So I wouldn't doubt that Leah saw that little girl and she was like actually something. But I don't know. Yeah. Oh, I always thought it was. Yeah.
But I'm getting chills thinking about it. I wish I could remember more of her, but it makes sense.
What you should do is meditate on her. Think about her. Do one of your meditations on it. Right. See if she comes back.
Ooh.
You're like, I'm not going to meditate, actually.
Maybe on Halloween, you know, the veil is thin.
Ooh,
the veil is pretty thin, like all mud. So, but, you know,
now's the time.
Now's the time.
Just make sure to record it, though.
Yeah. Patreon content.
Everything is content.
That's hysterical.
And what about you, Bethany? Did you have any that were, like, unique to you?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, I don't know, I would say my earliest like exposure to paranormal or a system of beliefs would be, and I thought you were going to say this, our great grandma's funeral.
Oh, yeah.
Because when she was dying, she had the mirrors covered. And Leah's talked about this a few times. Mm-hmm. And that's because she was seeing spirits coming through the mirrors, like waiting to take her. You know, so she had all the mirrors covered, and I remember I was a baby.
Yeah, we were really young,
very young.
Yeah,
but I remember that funeral because, like, I was itty bitty, and then you're looking at this fucking dead person. Like that shit stuck with me, my dude. Like it is a very fuzzy like memory, kind of like watching a soap opera where it's all like blurry and like soft, you know.
Vaseline on the lens.
Yes. That's what that memory is like. But I remember seeing her in that casket, and I remember hearing about how she was seeing spirits come through, and that part of the family, they were total witches. They were brujas for sure. They spoke with the dead. They read, you know, cards and leaves, and our mom had a really creepy story of like hearing footsteps down the hallway when she would stay there, and they would say it was the devil. Shit like that. It's always the devil. But then there was also a story that she would talk about how she saw a doll like moving on its head in that house. Yeah. So I would say that was my first exposure, and I don't know how old I was. I was a baby. Like I was, it's one of my first like memories. Yeah. Granted, memory is subjective. You know, we don't know how accurate that shit is, but I would say, you know, that's very early on.
Those were some good. Yeah, those were some creepy moments for sure. Yeah, you had to have been like 3 or 4, like I was young. Baby. Yeah, because that puts me around 7. Yeah.
So I would say that was our first like introduction to something like that you know, people don't always talk about spirits and mirrors and shit, right? Like to babies.
I feel like that's something that like I hear a lot, and I've definitely touched on that on Sustoy, is the whole thing about mirrors and how they're portals.
Portals. Yeah.
I'll share it with you. I've spoken about it on the show, but just in case somebody hasn't heard it, is and I've gotten explicit permission from my friend to share this story, that when her mother passed, of course, she called us and we went over right away to her apartment, to our friend's apartment. And her immediate family was there too. And so we're just kind of there trying to, like, it just happened. We're trying to, like, we're freaking out. We're immediate, you know, grief and, like, you know, what, like, just trying to be there, you know, like, what can we do? What can we do? And I just, the way my memory kind of, like, the way I remember it now, because it was, like, really intense, is it was just, it seemed like a lot of, like, chaos. It's like we were thrown in a blender for a couple minutes. Yeah. And, like, all this noise is happening. People are on phones. People are, of course, crying. And then suddenly there was a mirror in my friend's apartment. Her mother was living with her for a while, up until before she passed. And one of the mirrors in the hallway, it just fell off the wall and it just shattered. And there was 2 mirrors. They were side by side, and just the one, it had been up there forever, like immovable. It was fine. Nothing. It was up there forever. Nothing happened to it. And coincidence or not, the fact that it happened in that moment, like almost immediately after her passing, was wild to me. And I'm convinced that she made her way to the apartment. She saw, okay, my kids are here. My people are here. Yeah. They're going to be fine. Okay, they're all together. I'm leaving. And that maybe she, she used the mirror as a door and knocked it down on her way out. And she was like, everybody chill, like, take a moment of silence. Because when that happened, we all just stopped and, like, you could hear a pin drop. You could hear a mirror drop. It went silent, and we just looked at each other, like, and all of us immediately, like, had that feeling. There was no doubt in anyone's mind. We all just looked at each other, and it wasn't like what happened? It was, did that just happen? Yeah. I don't know if, that makes sense, but it's just we just had this, like, understanding and this knowing between each other. Like, that felt intentional. Yeah. So the mirror thing is, well, yeah, and the fact that she had them pour, oh my God, I'm sorry for your grandma. That sounds really intense that she was seeing that. And, but I'm glad that she had, the knowledge and the wherewithal to take action and kind of defend herself and be like, we're closed for business. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that is wild. For sure. But I mean, that, I don't know. As far as, like, personal experiences, though, I think my first one was in Round Rock, probably. Yeah. Would that be the one?
Probably your most intense.
What about? Yeah, I didn't really get a lot in the East Side house until we moved back. Yeah. When we moved back to the East Side, the shit started popping off. But, like,
you were Round Rock.
But Round Rock, we had a house in Round Rock. We lived there from I was in third grade to 7th grade for me. So that's 99 to oh God,
decades ago.
Age myself. That house was fucked up, man. That house was creepy. Haunted, fuck that house. I still have nightmares about that house. Like, seriously,
that blows my mind.
I still dream about that house.
Tell us. I'm like, what? Explain, please.
Well, like, I just feel like shit was ramping up in that house. Like, and Leah saw some shit in that house too. One of the things that happened to me was one morning, every morning we'd wake up and get ready for school, all that. I was, like, eating my cereals, and I would put on like Nickelodeon in the morning or MTV for the music videos, like, whatever. And we had, oh God, this is so old. We had one of those little black boxes with the buttons on it and the red clock. I don't know, the red digital clock, and, like, you could change the channels or whatever. And the channel, I felt like I was having a war with, like, something, because the channel would flip to a different one, and then I'd go back and be like, what the fuck? Change it back to what I was watching, and then I'd walk away and it would flip back to another channel, and I'm like, what the fuck's that? And this happened a few times, and then I just turned the TV off, and that bitch turned back on. So it was like this weird, and that was like a small little thing that had happened, but I was really creeped out. Yeah. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like, I was super creeped out. And then one time I was going to the kitchen to get my fat ass a snack. And I felt, I don't know what it was. Like, I was totally fine, totally normal. But I got to this threshold almost, like, right before the kitchen. And I felt like, I don't know, it was like this weird blackness, like a darkness came over me, and I almost passed out. And I was walking, and then I had to lean on the wall because I thought I was gonna fall over, and I was like, oh!
Always dramatic.
But it was like almost like you were fainting. Like I could see like my vision closing in, you know, like just becoming little points until it was all black and I couldn't see anymore. And that was fucking freaky. But then the biggest one, I think, was I saw a ghost. I saw a ghost. I was fucking around on the computer late at night one night, and you know how you can feel when someone's watching your back. You get that weird feeling. So I turn around, and there's a fucking little girl there in a pink dress.
I'm so stressed out.
And she walks into my mom's room. She walks so I'm at the family computer in the living room. Behind me is the hallway. Real fucking great placing, right? She's at the end of that hallway, like looking at me, and right next to her is all the bedrooms, really. Yeah. Like at the end of the hallway, it's like 3-4 doors with all the bedrooms and the bathroom. And she goes into my mom's, and I fucking sprint and go to my room. I'm like, fuck this. Like, she's
Good
gone.
luck, Mom.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, it was super freaky, you know. I was like, what the fuck? But then the next day, my mom asked, like, what did you want? What were you doing in my room?
Validation.
So that's when I was like, oh! Like, it wasn't just like computer eyes or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God.
But she said, because then I told them all the story, like we talked about the story, you know, or like what I had seen, and I told her that girl went into her room, and she said what she saw was like as if I was peeking in her room. So she didn't see like the full kid in there. She said she saw like as if I'd wanted her attention or wanted something.
Oh my God. So it was like a kid like around the same age as you, or?
Nah, she was like a little kid, which is another thing is like, well, I don't know. To me, I thought she was younger, but yeah. But Mom thought it was
close enough, for your mom to mistake it.
Because I was like 12-ish.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And we've seen, and in that house we saw like footprints, like little on the carpet. You know, you press on the carpet and you see little indentations. And we saw like little fucking footprints in the carpet in the hallway. And we were like, what the fuck?
And how long were you in this house?
3 years, 4 years?
3 or 4 years, yeah. I was from like 3rd grade to 7th grade.
Yeah.
So 3 to 4 years.
I guess that's right. 6th grade to almost
senior year.
Almost 10th grade. I think we moved back. Yeah, something like that. So.
Wow, what a long time to be in a place like that. And so things started happening like immediately when you all got in there, or like
no,
just after a while.
It's just like it slowly ramped up. I think, you know, personally, like when looking back on it, again, memory's subjective, but like I do like these things when they happen, it's fucking traumatizing. It's a trauma, like that shit sticks with you, you know. I don't know what came first. I don't remember if the TV shit happened first, if like my little blackout happened first, which, by the way, I've had that experience again, that weird, like something wanted to take me over and I couldn't stand. And that happened to me as an adult in the house the family house. Yeah. So that I think was definitely some kind of attack.
Oh my God. You need to keep those like your crystals and your herbs and everything on you. Oh my God.
Well, so when that happened at the house on the east side, I was actually living with my dad, and I was in like my late 20s, you know, trying to get back up on my feet, and we were butting heads a lot. You know, I mean, it's hard to live with your dad as an adult or a parent or whatever. And so the energy was fucking nasty, man. It was bad energy like all around. And weird shit started happening a lot in that house. And it wasn't until, I started burning like Palo Santo weekly that it got better. And even my dad was like, it feels lighter.
Like, I'm busting my ass.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing it. Yeah. I always have to carry the weight of our relationship.
Oh, no. Oh my goodness. That is another thing that I hear really often, and that somebody had sent in a letter once, was that they were experiencing something in their house, and it just, their family was always fighting with each other. They were always fighting with their sibling, with their parents. Like, they would all fight as a group. Like, just whatever that energy is or whatever it's doing, it just it feeds on that.
Yes,
definitely. And so it like encourages it and it eggs it on.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So safe to say, and this is normally I ask people when they're on here, but safe to say you all do believe in the paranormal and the supernatural and all that kind of stuff. Oh my god. How do you, because I've explained the way that I believe it countless times, but I want to hear from you all. When you do encounter skeptics, how do you explain sort of not why you believe, or how would you explain like a ghost to a skeptic? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to?
I don't know, because I don't know, because to me it's always something like we can get real, like, is it residual? Is it something attached to me? Is it something attached to the location? But I just think it's an energy. It's just energy. And however it chooses to manifest itself, depending on who's involved or where we're at, like, it's just a manifestation of that energy. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my simplest way to put it.
Yeah.
To someone.
That's
like,
normally
just,
how I look at it, is in terms of like energy and like imprints of energy.
I never want to convince a skeptic. I don't give a fuck. If you're a skeptic, great, whatever. I don't care. You're missing out on so much that the universe has to offer, right? You're missing out on the magic, as I like to say. But if I am trying to convince someone, I would say something maybe along the lines of like, whether you call it religion, manifestation, witchcraft, spirituality, metaphysics, quantum physics, it's all the same thing. It's just giving it a different label. Like, if you look at what all of those studies are and what people do within those categories, it's all the same shit. So it's like, you're not debating on whether it's real, you're debating on what you're calling it at the end of the day. And that's something I would say.
Snaps. Small little snaps from the crowd. I
told you, mic drop.
Please do not drop my microphone. Trying to save money for another one. Yeah, I love that explanation. Definitely. I feel like that's something for sure that I've heard people kind of speak of it in that way, is, you know, it's kind of all the same thing, just however, whatever it makes you feel better to believe in.
She shut it down.
I know, right?
Interview's done.
Sorry.
God.
No more questions.
And wheel me off like James Brown. She's gotta get her little cape on. She's gotta go.
So I think to kind of go back to our Round Rock home, Bethany saw the little girl, and I'm very thankful that I never saw her, so I'll say that much. But I had a couple experiences there, one with one of my very best friends, and we shared her story on one of our early episodes. But she came over to spend the night often, and we're up late doing whatever teenage girls do, like reacting music videos and putting on makeup and running around, screaming, dancing, you know. So it was really late, and we're in my room surrounded by my Backstreet Boy posters, and we're about to fall asleep when my bedroom door opens, and there's nobody on the other side of the door. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. But what really freaked me out was my best friend starts uncontrollably laughing and crying, like at the same time. And she doesn't really know why either. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And she's like, I don't know. And like, she's just nonstop hysterics. And then the door stays open, and then she's just kind of looking towards the door, like going through these emotions. And then she just stops, lays down, and passes the fuck out. And I'm like, and I'm there wide awake, like, you fucking bitch. Like,
oh my god. I would have called her mom and be like, you need to come get her. Because I don't know what she did, but something happened.
I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, so I turned my back, like, towards the door, but I'm looking at her, and she's like, passed the fuck out. And I couldn't explain that. And the next day I asked my mom, I was like, did you open my door? And my mom kind of like made a face, and then she was just like, oh yeah, that was me. But again, I think she was just kind of playing it off. Yeah. So I didn't get like super freaked out that something had pushed open my door and maybe affected my friend in that moment. So that was a really weird moment for me. And then kind of going back to, I guess I see a lot of shadows, I guess is my deal. Because in that home, It had high ceilings, and it kind of reminds me of like what we're seeing here. Sorry to make that correlation to your house. But yeah, because it even had kind of like these beams. And I can remember coming from the kitchen, like where Bethany had her little kind of almost pass out moment. And it's dark in the living room. Everything's off. And I'm going towards my bedroom. But I saw something darker, like even darker than the room. And it went from the top to the bottom. And it was just solid, just a solid mass. And now that I think about it as an adult who's more kind of invested in these things, I was like, maybe it was like a portal or like just something like a passage is really what it looked like. And I can remember seeing that and just feeling super uneasy about it. And like, I didn't want to look at it. Once I saw it, I immediately had to look away. And something was like, don't look back over there. Like, just keep going. Just don't look back. So I didn't. And
I listened to that intuition.
Yeah, I was like, just keep moving, kids. So I kept moving, and that really weirded me out. That living room space for sure had some energy. Yeah, me at the computer, because I was there one night doing what I do. You shut down the computer, and like even now, kind of looking at your computer, there's a reflection there, right? No. But like if the screen's just solid black, or like, you know, looking at the TV, like it looks like that. Like you can tell there's a reflection, but you can't really make out everything, right?
Yeah.
I saw someone walk behind me. So I turn off the computer, I'm looking at the black screen, and a figure passes. The thing that gets me is it's somebody that I knew, and someone who's alive, and someone who was just not in the house at the time. So it's actually like our mom's boyfriend. And he was away, and I see him walk past, like he's there. And I'm just like, all right, but he's not around. So what the hell is that about? And again, we were really open with our mom, and I told her, and what she said to me was, well, it's because he really wants to be here with us. So like a part of him was in the house. Yeah. And then she kind of started talking about like what I later learned to be like more like astral projection, like just that energy exchange. And I was like, that's really fucking crazy. So I think I witnessed that, you know, like I have no other explanation for it. So that was one of the first times where I learned something like that and saw something like that. So yeah.
Wow.
That house was crazy. The restroom
door.
Oh, the restroom door and the devil. Let's talk about that guy.
Oh my God. That guy again.
You're gonna be so tired of it.
No, I'm gonna be scared is what I'm gonna be.
So the house in Round Rock was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and the main restroom, I guess the public use restroom.
Yeah, the one in the hallway. The one in the haunted hallway.
Yeah. If you're looking at the door, wooden doors, and it has like that
the grains
from the wood. And it looked like after a while, I feel like we would have noticed this early on.
It was after a while.
It was after a while.
Was it after a while?
It was after a while. Like years.
But it was like when you were sitting on the toilet.
Yeah.
Like, and you're looking right at the door.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like right at eye level if you're on the crapper.
Yeah. But I feel like because of how distinct it was, like we would have noticed it early on. But for some reason, towards the end of our time in that house, we noticed a face, and it looked like
it was the body in there. The face was in Mom's room.
Oh.
Right?
I thought it was the face. The body's in Mom's room.
This house is fucked up.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I don't know. Memory is subjective. Either way, there were 2 doors. There were 2 pieces.
Oh
So we're looking at a face, and it looks evil, like he's like yelling, like the features of this face.
It's like a devilish imp is what it looked like, the face. And it had like the horn, everything,
and it's very aggressive.
Yeah.
So like you want to use the restroom quick.
You're right, it was because I remember when we told Mom.
Because Mom was like, so then we tell our mother, because we're telling her everything, and then she's like, check this shit out. We go to her restroom, and it's like the imp body. It's like,
but it has no head.
It has no head.
I just got chills.
I'm getting goosebumps recalling this shit. Honestly,
so it looks like it's kind of like it's a hand up, like a hand, like you see both arms, hands, full body without a head.
And it was like perfectly positioned. Like if you were to take that head and put it on that body, it was like a perfect like match.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I wish we had taken pictures of that shit.
Yeah.
But then again, that was a time of like shitty disposable cameras and like
no camera phones, none of that. Yeah. So
I wish
AOL was the thing.
I think that's what I was up doing when I saw that little girl. I was like aiming Trisha or something.
Oh so. Nothing good happens at the family computer.
That house was crazy though. That house was terrifying.
God, I'm like trying to make up a story in my head now of this
like how
devil stuck in the door, this devil doors,
like cursed in the like maybe that tree or whatever produced that door. I don't know. I don't know. It's crazy though, but yeah, that was wild, and I was like, that's fucking like.
And it just stayed like that. Like,
that was one of the last things I think that happened.
Yeah, and then
like
we
that
moved
we noticed
out.
I would have put one of those calendars that has all the saints in it.
That's funny.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that house was a trip, and then I think really for me after that, it's been little things in every place that I've lived, and then even when you came by to visit, I told you I had a friend there.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And if you want to hear that story, y'all are gonna have to go listen to the Paranormal Putas episode tomorrow.
Yes, it's gonna be so good.
Well, so speaking of the restrooms, there's something that you all do on your show. There's a segment that you all have sometimes that you feature, and I love it, and I think it's so fun. And I got to listen to like the full breakdown of it at the San Antonio Paranormal Fest, and it was great. So can you all tell me what a portal potty is? And tell the people what a portal potty is.
Wow.
I love that name so much.
Thanks.
Take it away, baby sis.
Okay, sure. So when we first started, like we were collecting stories right from the neighborhood on the east side, and there was a constant theme. Just about everyone had a story about a fucking haunted restroom or like something happening in their restroom.
Like a devil on the door.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, like really, even doesn't really matter where you are. Someone's got a dang haunted restroom story most of the time. So me and Leah were like, what the hell? I mean, Leah's just hilarious and made a joke one day during this guy's story and was like, it's a portal potty, you know? So that's where she came up with the name, just, you know, all these spooky stories in restrooms. But then we looked into it. We were like, is this legit though? And we have our theory, our little portal potty theory.
Yeah.
Now, whether this is a theory already or not, like we're sorry if we're being ignorant and like don't know if it has like, you know, it's really out there already.
Well, I will say, when I heard you all explain it, that was the first time I heard somebody put all those things together. Like in regards to, you know,
we
what
might
a portal
be taking
potty is.
credit.
So I'll say.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah,
Sure, the internet will always check us, right? And so yeah, we have a theory. Do you want to?
Yeah. So of course, one of the theories, and it's kind of perfect because we've kind of talked about a lot of these things already. But one of the main pieces when we started thinking about why restrooms, we'll start thinking about what's in a restroom and what really makes up a restroom, and it is mirrors. It's water and it's stone, and a lot of those and all those things are conductors for energy, or we mentioned mirrors as portals. We talk about mirrors being portals already through like a good chunk of this episode, and then water is like a conduit for energy, right? So they can travel through it. Water can be used to amplify energy. Water is even used in, you know, ritual. It's a very spiritual element. And then you have porcelain most of the time. Sometimes you have stone, especially here in Texas, limestone. Like showers made with limestone and shit. But even if you don't have stone in your restroom, you have porcelain. And though porcelain is man-made, it still has a lot of characteristics of stone. And it's a man-made stone. And there's stone tape theory, which is that stone can hold on to energy and replay that energy, like just, I don't know, I guess depending on the situation or whatever. And most people call that a residual haunting, right? Because it's holding on to that same energy, just replaying the same thing over and over. So that's a portal potty.
I love that. I remember the first time I heard that, I heard it on y'all's show, I heard y'all mention it, and then I was like, what? I was like, okay, this is great. It's a good joke. It's fun. And then I was like, wait a minute.
It's true.
Yeah, I think also that someone mentioned earlier at the Paranormal Fest was that it's like a place where you're really vulnerable.
You're vulnerable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, you let your guard down and it kind of like opens you to more experiences.
It's also a ritual, right? You're in there every day.
right.
And a lot of the times you're naked, right? And that, you know, people do rituals in the nude. So I don't know, it's just a very spiritual, vulnerable, and ritualistic place, you know? Boom. Portal.
That's our theory. Patent, trademark, I don't know what's the right word, but it's ours. It's our theory, damn it.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's a fun one for sure. And also, it's just crazy to hear other people's experiences of like they see people going into the restroom or like, you know, that or Amanda's niece saw that little boy in the restroom, like hanging out in there, and it's just like, God dang, man.
Footprints showing up on showers, the devil's footprints in that one story. So.
I always, oh my God, in the house that I grew up in, there was, and like in a lot of restrooms, there is, in the shower, there was a window where we could see outside. But in my mom's house, it was like eye level, you know? So finally, when I got to an age, I could just like, I mean, and it's like frosted, kind of like wavy glass, so you can't, but like you could see, you know, shadows and stuff. So I would shower with my back to it, so I didn't have to look at it because I was so freaked out that I would have to convince myself like there's nothing out there. There's nothing out there. And I was like, but just turn around in case there is. And to this day, I hate using restrooms that have windows like that. Like when I go to someone's house, I'm like, all right, we're gonna close this shower curtain door. Hopefully it's like in a shower so I can hide it for myself. Otherwise I'm just like staring at it the whole time, like, please.
That's wild. There's something about it.
Oh yeah. Freaky.
You know what? On the note of portal potties, I think that's a good place to leave the audience. Thank you again so much for being here, both of y'all. This has been so much fun. And I'm so excited to introduce listeners of Susto that haven't heard of you all yet to you.
Thank you.
So let the ghouls know, let our ghoul friends know where they can find you, where you're going to be, where you can haunt them, and they can haunt you.
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, if you want to tune in and listen, anywhere podcasts are found. So, literally anywhere. And if we're not there, find us on Instagram. Let us know where you like to listen to podcasts, and we will definitely make sure we get on that platform. You can also find us on TikTok, Facebook. You can keep up at paranormalputas.com. And if you're local and in the area, we're going to be hanging out on Friday the 13th with Susto. And it's going to be a lot of fun. You can catch us at the Mary J Social Club for Friday the 13th party. And then at the end of the month, we're having our first ever hosted event, a Devil's Night party. So definitely tune in, stay tuned, and stick around. Yeah.
All right.
Is that everything? Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you, ghoul friends, once again for joining me. And I'll talk to you all later.
Cool. Yay. Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back, and what a hauntingly good time. One more time, big major shout out to the Putas. Again, I'm going to be hanging out with them tomorrow, Friday the 13th at Mary J Social here in Austin, Texas. You can visit our profiles and see the post about that and get your tickets. They're $15, so we'll see you there. Also, stay tuned for more crossover content to come. As always, if you have your own scary stories that you would like me to share on the show in the next Letters from the Beyond episode or on social media, because it can also be a video, recording, anything that's not just a written story, go ahead and send that in, and you can do so by sending it to sustopodcast@gmail.com, leaving it in a 5-star review wherever you're listening, sending it to any of the socials at sustopodcast, and by visiting sustopodcast.com. Also, the easiest way to support the show is just by interacting with it. So wherever you are listening, please hit that like, subscribe, follow, share, all of those buttons. Go ahead and hit them for me, and I thank you so much. But for now, huge shout out to the current patrons, and you all are Liza, Sadie, Rachel, Alejandra, Luther, April, Mario, Eva, Dee, Victoria, Josette, Sam, Clem, Angela and Co, Mandy, Julianne, Laurie, Jeannie, Desiree, Anasi, Ashes, Neressa, Azucena, Rachel, Javier, Rios, Anna, Marlene, Diana, Jessica, Chata, Lainey, and Desiree. Thank you all so much from the darkest, deepest pits of my heart. I will talk to you all in the next one, and go check out the Paranormal Putas, listen to their episode tomorrow, and you can catch me on there as well. Bye!